Hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping on Giant TV. This is Paul Hitchcock. I am the founder and president for Giant Jacks Media, where we help others to grow, expand, make some noise in the world of sales, marketing, and branding. Really fired up to have Jesse Gilmore here on with me. Jesse, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Great. Well, Jesse and I met on LinkedIn and love the platform.
Mhm.
And this show is about other entrepreneurs doing killer things. And I've been watching, Jesse, what you're doing. Love it. You and
Mhm.
I were talking offline a bit about your landing pages. You got a lot going on. So I just want to jump in and also find out, are you from Portland, Oregon? Because I think that's where you are. So, you know, tell me what's going on. What's your background? Let's talk a little business.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm originally from the Twin Cities of Minnesota, and lived there for a long time. Studied abroad in Scotland for a while, but always came back to Minnesota as a home. Uh,
Scotland. What, Scotland for college?
yeah, yep. I studied abroad over there, and then I actually have ancestry, Scottish ancestry.
Oh, very cool.
So I got to study abroad 4 miles away from my ancestors' castle, which is pretty cool.
Oh my
So.
Lord. Is it still in the family, the castle?
No. It was given to the state. It's Craig Miller Castle, just south of Edinburgh.
Okay, so you were climbing the back walls to try to get in and look at your family castle.
Yeah, actually, it's pretty funny. If anybody's watching this as a video, you can see my eyebrows, and you can actually look at the picture of the Gilmores at the way end, and then you can tell we're related based on the eyebrows.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh,
Yeah.
great story.
Yeah, but yeah, I started off in Minnesota, and then met the woman of my dreams, and we decided to. At the time, I had multiple businesses. I dissolved one of them, merged another one, and then basically started a brand new life with my wife in Oregon. So that was kind of a big kind of transitioning point. And then, yeah, I've been living here ever since.
I love that town. It's why my mom grew up in Portland, Oregon as a kid. We drove in the station wagon to Portland every summer and spent a lot
Sweet.
of time up there. Yeah, you live in a beautiful area.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so you're there now, and is that like what are you doing with your business now? Tell me like how you got into what you're doing now, what's going on with it, and where the focus area is.
Yeah, totally. So Niche in Control is my business, and I founded it about a year and a half ago, and kind of really started off as a side business. At the time, I was working in a corporate America, a $4 billion manufacturer, and I was one of the strategic initiative project managers, where we basically did a whole bunch of execution oriented based things, and so. I started Niche and Control because my previous three businesses that I ran, there was always something missing. Like it was all based around my skills and my untransferable skills, the previous businesses. So it was so hard for me to like delegate or automate
Right.
or whatever. And so I found from corporate America how they have set up a business management system to sustain and grow without specific people.
Hmm.
And that was kind of like the big aha moment. And and so
Bell going off.
yeah. And so once I found out kind of what I was missing in my previous businesses, I set up Niche and Control to really help out the people that are having the hardest time making a business that can sustain and grow without them. So I started off as a side business. I was still working at the corporate America job, but started on the side. Started working with a software as a service client, figuring out different things with that, and then it started to transition towards agency owners because agency owners have they're doing a service, but a lot of times the agency owner get stuck working in the business because they've
Oh
built it
yeah,
around themselves.
totally,
So,
totally. And I got to
yeah.
ask you though, when you were doing the corporate job and then you
Mhm.
did the side thing, how did you do that? I mean, were you working like all day long? Because it's, I mean, it's tough to do both, right? And to grow the
Yep.
business. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, well, the cool thing is I've built systems within my own corporate work. So I figured out
Oh,
how
okay.
to automate, delegate, streamline, and make it to where the business couldn't keep up with how fast I was able to build things. And so I really got to do a testing ground with building systems within teams, getting really good at delegating, and then I freed up my time. So I was able to kind of be the coach and the developer of my people, getting things done faster than the business could actually keep up with. And then that freed up my time to start building the leverage for growth method, which is kind of like a 5-step process that now I use with agency owners to create an agency that can grow and sustain without them.
So what does that mean? So somebody comes on board with you,
Mm-hmm.
like walk me through a little bit what's happening, like onboarding, because I want to get some clarity about what you're doing. So what happens?
Yeah. Are you saying a brand new client, like they
Brand new client.
signed?
Yeah,
Okay.
brand new client. What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we start a weekly cadence, and we figure out a time where once a week we're going to be talking about working on the business and kind of how to free them up. Usually what ends up happening is they're using their time to either do some client fulfillment, but they're embedded into their operations. They also, a lot of times, if I say, what's your process to do whatever, they haven't actually like mapped it out yet. So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is kind of that foundational groundwork to free up their time. That's kind of a first benchmark that I have. Within the first couple of weeks, we free up 8 to 10 hours for them to work on their business by streamlining some of their operations, figuring out how to delegate better if they have a team, or figuring out how to automate or even eliminate some of the tasks that I do.
When you say automation, what sort of automation are you talking about?
Good question. So it's not a one size fits all type of approach. So automation usually comes after we've already mapped out their process and we're starting to figure out ways that we can do it faster. Automation is usually one of the last things that I do, which kind of just speeds it up, because a system is only as good as the process it implements. So so you can patch together all the softwares that you would want, and it might be just awesome, but if your process sucks, it's just going to speed things up. So
It's going to speed up a sucky process.
yeah. So a lot of that foundational stuff you're talking about, onboarding in the first month or so, we're getting into a cadence. We're understanding kind of what's happening, and it's 2 different things. It's regaining their time. So that way they are very focused for at least 8 to 10 hours, and they're not doing like answering emails or doing whatever. They're going, okay, this is my business. What am I going to do with this thing? Where do I want it to go? How do I free up more of my time? How to bring on people? Where do I see this thing? Now, the second thing is, and that usually goes coinciding with simplifying their service. A lot of times people think that every new client is completely new. It's not. There's so many, there's about 75% of a process that's the same for every client. And there's about 25% that should be custom to the client. So that way the client gets the efficiency, the quality, everything that they're going after. They have a business owner that's walking them through a process, but then being able to customize it so that that person gets that personalized need. So that's what we end up doing in the first month or so.
Are the processes, I'm fascinated by this because I think time management, discipline has so much to do with success. And I've heard people talk about, if you can just nail the little chunks of processes, get those efficient, then it leads to big results, right? But people just tend to seem to focus on a big result and try to get there without fine tuning the little processes. So this stuff fascinates me. I'm like you, I'm into processes. But are you talking about, when you're nailing that down, is it like workflow, like project workflows, how the service is delivered, the communication, all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't do communication because that's until later. You'd want to make sure that that behind the scenes stuff is really, really fine tuned. So
like, what's behind the scene? We say behind the scenes, like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So there's kind of like a back end and there's a front end. Front end is client facing. Back end is all the stuff that happens where the client doesn't see. So behind that, you would have like checklists of making sure that if you're reviewing something, you know exactly what you're looking for. If you're scheduling something with a person, but it's the same thing every single time, and the only thing that changes is a date, you figure out a template for it. But it's basically anything that you would normally spend a lot of time thinking that you're reinventing the wheel when it's actually not that different. Those things get figured out. Then when it comes to that process, then it's a lot easier to actually do the front end stuff where you're actually communicating, this is what I'm going to do next. This is what you should look for.
Oh, yeah.
It's better to do the back end stuff first.
God, it is so true. And so for you, you come across, and we're getting to know each other more and more. You come
Hmm.
across as methodical, and you've got to be somewhat methodical in your business because it's a
Hmm.
value you're bringing to the table.
Hmm.
Where does that come from in you?
Yeah.
Is it were you brought up that way to be detail oriented processes, or where did it come from?
Not at all, man. I went through my own evolution. When I was a serial entrepreneur, I started three businesses before this, the fourth one, Niche and Control. The first three, I was concentrated on the art of business, where I was like, dude, it's all about the idea, right? And so I would focus on the idea. I'd fall in love with the idea, and then I would like work tirelessly about this idea. And it seemed like the freedom that I wanted as an entrepreneur was always out of reach,
Mm,
and there was something wrong, and there was something that was missing. So when I closed the businesses in Minnesota and moved to Oregon, I actually took an internship. I kind of sucked up my ego, took an internship under the VP of HR for this $4 billion company. And she found very quickly that I was not a typical intern. She gave me 3 months worth of work, and I finished it in 2 weeks. And she was like, okay, you're now under me, and this is what we're going to do. So I took, yeah, I took on this strategic initiative they thought was impossible, and I ran for it, ran with it for 5 years. And in that process, I realized what I was missing was the formalized version of process, like process management and project management. And so I ended up getting a PMP, project management professional certifications, global recognized one, and then a PMI ACP, which is just another form of doing projects. So now I basically have all the tools and techniques to handle any type of change. That's part of the reason why my service is very personalized. Like, as there's others out there that are like, hey, one size fits all, you're going to do it this certain way. I'm literally taking a card deck and going, this is the card for you, this is the card for you, and it just moves them faster. So long story short, I actually learned it through a formal education, and then also a really, really, really good mentor on something that seemed like it was impossible, but she was just like, you connect with this, you connect with this is what you need, blah, blah, blah. And then I just executed. And
right.
so the execution was the thing I was missing. I had the strategy and vision before. I was missing the execution, and now it's like combined for Niche and Control.
Oh, it's great. Great. Yeah, mentors are great, isn't it? When you find a good mentor, it's
Oh
like,
man,
man,
it's
yeah,
the
it's
only way to fast track your success. You can read
yeah,
many books, but if there's somebody going tweak, 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 and then you're there. So,
yeah. I mean, were you seeking out a mentor when you got connected to this person, or did it just happen?
oh, it just happened. Yeah, she kind of took me under her wing, and she was like, in the interview, she was like, "You're like right up here. I'm gonna bring you right here." And I was like, "Oh, I like her. Yeah, right on." But yeah, she really really changed my perception of process, projects, strategic initiatives, all that kind of stuff.
What about the ego? You said, yeah, you had to take a step back with the ego for
Yep.
that. Where does the ego come from? I mean, it's kind of a rhetorical question because, when you're running something, you kind of
Hmm.
understand, but why the ego? Where does that come from in being an entrepreneur? What's the background?
Yeah, totally. I've had 28 jobs outside of being a serial entrepreneur. And when you do that, and the majority of the jobs that you take on, you become some trainer of somebody, like you like master things really fast. And so when she was like, "Oh, I don't know if you can handle all these projects," I was like, "Dude, I can handle more than you can even imagine." She's like, "What?" She's like, "I need you down here." But yeah, there is a sense of, and I had a conversation with one of the agency owners that's been in business for 25 years, Janet, and she was a perfect example of taking the ego, I guess, from the inside, figuring out your personality and aligning yourself to speak through your business and through your teams. And that does take an ego. There is a way of looking at an ego in a way that is more of the impact that you have, as opposed to like, it's all in it for me. But she was able to do some self-discovery, and then now she's using that through her teams, and her teams are becoming self-discovered. And then now she's using it through her agency, and then she's positioned the whole agency as a niche based around her. And that's like the ripple effect. And that's the same that's a perfect example of an ego and an entrepreneur in the right way, as
Right.
opposed
Yeah.
to, people being like, hey, are you going to buy my stuff? It's
Right.
not,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's not the
Yeah.
way to do it.
Yeah. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of those people out there,
Mhm.
I was going to ask you is, so do you on a daily basis, like throughout the day, are you interacting with a lot of people, or are you on your computer all day long? Do you have employees you're talking to? I mean, what's your kind of day look like?
Yeah, totally. At this moment, I have streamlined a lot of things that usually would take a long time. So I don't actually need employees at this moment unless I want to ramp up my business, and then I would get a VA for remote prospecting.
Right.
But right now, I'm trying to perfect this one-on-one coaching and consulting, because I already have like a coaching program, and everybody that's becomes a client actually gets videos and process checklists and all this stuff that they could usually use. It's an evergreen program, so they hit a growth plateau and then they can just do it all over again, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, the day-to-day stuff is basically I am interacting with as many agency owners as possible, trying to provide as much value, having interviews and talks with people that either are business leaders, influencers, or other agency owners, and they're kind of like focused on a certain topic that's working with their agency. A lot of times I'm trying to look at different resources that may not be a part of the program just yet, and I'm seeing whether or not they'll work with my clients. So I'm always adding to this program and doing that. So I have some working in the business part where I'm
Right.
talking with agencies. I'm always trying to expand my network. And then also at the same time, I'm always working on my business and trying to figure out how can I make this better? How can I get those client results, which are starting to pop up in the last couple of weeks.
What's a challenge that you've had that hit you in the last 6 months to a year? I mean, anything come to mind like a challenge? You're like, oh crap! And how do you get beyond those sort of things when you're running a business?
Yeah, totally. Good question. And very timely. COVID really changed the game, only because it's not because of anything within my business, because my business is just like this. I can do it from anywhere. The thing that changed was childcare, and we have a second kid. So
Oh,
yeah, my daughter was born in April, right at the height of this beginning part, and so ever since then, we haven't had childcare, and we're both working from home. My wife also works from home, so time and figuring out how to be a good father at the same time as be a good husband, at the same time as launch a business.
yeah.
And so how do I do that? It's a lot of reprioritizing. So I might have like a laundry list of like 50 things that I'm supposed to do. And I have to constantly go, okay, what's the biggest impact for the shortest amount of time? And just keep on doing that. It's like the 80-20 rule.
Right.
And so even today, I was like, I finally had my mom came over and took care of the kids. And so I was like, sweet, I got some time.
Love
And I'm
mom. Love, love
like,
you,
so
mom.
I'm like 18 content videos for my people. Here we go. Like, so yeah, it's constant prioritizing. And really, when you have a vision, that vision, if it's aligned with you, should pull you, not push you. So when you have a strong why, like I want to create a legacy for my kids, and I want to make sure that we have financial independence and we do all these things and I can be with them, that pulls me through times where, like 2 days ago I was up until 1:30 and then woke up at 4, and it's just nonstop when you have a kid teething and another one that's a toddler, and it's like, you got to deal with it.
Oh,
Um,
I got
yeah.
4 kids. I remember those days. Mine a little bit older, but oh my God, my heart's with you, man. Those are tough. That's
Yeah.
great. I was curious. How do you stay organized? Like you said, you have this to-do list and a million things. Where do you keep that on? Do you have like apps that you use? Is it on your phone? How do you keep your task list organized?
Yeah, good question. I keep them compartmentalized. So I have the like to-do lists that are kind of like home based, are usually on a whiteboard where I can see it all the time. For business, it's usually whatever I can access via phone or desktop or so forth. I find that if I spend too much time in an app trying to figure out like, oh, did I do this right or whatever, usually that's just time wasted. So sometimes just laundry lists are good. Sometimes just like take a second for a second and write it down on a post-it note, put it on there. It's any way of keeping me just like constantly moving. So that way I'm not spending so much time on technology.
Right.
If I'm trying to map out like a full-on project, like if I'm trying to improve the leverage for growth program and I have very specific things that I'm doing, then I actually write out a project plan and I'm executing it that way.
You don't have a favorite app you use for to-dos, a task list?
I found like Asana is helpful. There's certain that's a project management software. It's helpful sometimes, but sometimes I get stuck with the app and I get like distracted. So I'll do like Google Docs. If I have like a quick and dirty version of it.
Right.
But a lot of times I'm already prioritizing in my head based on doing the process so many different times that all I just need to do is write it out.
Right.
Where if there was somebody that if I was to give advice to somebody that's trying to stay organized, it really figure out the minimal viable version of doing that. So don't get stuck into like the bells and whistles of a project management software if you're not going to use it or it's confusing to you. Figure out different ways of making it so that you're always on track in some form and that you actually have good priorities from a high level, a macro level, before you're getting into the nitty gritty. What am I doing right now? Kind of scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. What about, are you getting exercise in there? Cardio, that's always a big thing, because it's like, oh my God, if I can get 3 sweats in a week,
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic. It's hard. And your schedule, you got it. How do you manage that?
Yeah, honestly, I was good until about a month and a half ago. I pulled my back from
Ooh.
pushing my toddler in a stroller, like running. Sorry, I probably should give some preface to that. So I used to run half marathons all the time, and I actually
Oh,
do these 90-day challenges, which keep on getting more and more intense until obviously my back.
yeah.
But in the last 2 years or so, I've run like 30 Ks. I did a half marathon pushing my kid in a stroller,
Holy
which was
moly.
pretty intense. And then I was doing runs with the stroller recently, and I must have not stretched enough and pulled something in my back. So since then, I haven't been able to do the long workouts. And Craig, I can't remember his last name. There's an entrepreneur guy that I'm following that also posted like a 7-minute workout. It's like,
Like a HIIT
so as long as
workout,
my
like a HIIT, yeah.
chiropractor says that I can do that one, then I'll do that. But I've taken a little bit of a break from it.
Oh, Matt, have you gotten to the point where your child is pushing you in the stroller?
That might happen if I keep on doing the half marathon pushing thing. But yeah,
You can
he's
do it,
like,
sweetie. You can do it.
yeah, it's like pushing 50 pounds for like 13 plus miles. You're like, oh, okay, something's gonna happen. Yeah.
It's a good workout, man, because you probably have like one of those jogger strollers, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
The
and
Graco.
yeah, damn good workout, so. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Well, good. I mean, I could talk to you for hours about this. I mean, you and I
Seriously.
have a lot in common. Love the organization. I hope we can stay in touch. I'd love to, have you back on and keep track of your progress of the business. I would say,
Totally.
yeah, kind of my last parting question, I love asking this is, do you have a vision of where you're going to be like in 5 years? Like, do you have this mental image that says, I'm going to be here? And does that guide you, or is it more shorter term goals?
Yeah, good question. From a growth standpoint, if you're talking about the business, I'll tell about the business version. Right now, I'm doing one-on-ones. I'm figuring out kind of the commonality between them. The one-on-one will eventually transition into a group coaching model, and then I have an ascension program where the one-on-ones become kind of like more personalized versions of that. So, and then team-wise, probably keep it a small team. I can operate on very lean, doing that kind of business model.
Totally.
But I really want to impact as many people as humanly possible. 5 years from now, we'll probably still be in Oregon. The kids will be grown in actually in like school, which would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, my biggest thing is impact and positioning and alignment. I want to be the go-to person for agency owners that want to create freedom. So
Love it.
what I do.
Love it. Yeah, man, you got your eye on the bullseye there, really
Mhm.
impressive. Jesse, thanks so much. I love chatting. And yeah, let's keep in touch on the progress.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Paul.
Oh, you're very welcome. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.